Folks, people always ask me one question. Why would you give up everything? They say, you had it all. The success, the fame, the power, the incredible deals, the beautiful life. And I look at them and I say, because none of that means anything without Jesus Christ. And I'll tell you something that shocks them. It shocks them because we live in a world where everybody's chasing numbers, chasing applause, chasing likes. But I decided to chase something far greater, the truth, the light, and the one who never fails, Jesus. When you walk away from the noise, from the greed, from the endless praise of men, and you turn toward the voice that calls your name in the storm, that's when you find real peace. And believe me, folks, real peace is better than any deal, better than any headline, better than any empire. I'm not here to tell you it was easy. It wasn't. I lost a lot. I was mocked, ridiculed, called crazy, but I also gained everything that matters. I found purpose. I found freedom. I found love that doesn't fade when the cameras turn off. So today, I'm not speaking as someone who had it all. I'm speaking as someone who found everything after losing what the world calls success. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand why giving up everything for Jesus Christ isn't a loss. It's the greatest victory of all. You look around today, and everybody's talking about success. They tell you success is money, it's fame, it's a big house, it's having people cheer for you. And believe me, I know what that looks like. I've seen the lights, I've been at the top, I've heard the applause. And yet, when the noise fades, when the cameras turn off, there's this emptiness, this silence that success can't fix. People think if they just get more power, more followers, more everything, they'll finally feel complete. But the truth is, it never stops. It's like drinking salt water. The more you have, the thirstier you become. And I saw it, folks. I lived it. Everyone wants to be somebody, but they forget that being somebody without Jesus is being nobody with everything. You can build towers. You can make deals, you can have your name on the biggest things in the world, but if your soul isn't right, if your heart isn't at peace, it's all just decoration. I remember standing in rooms full of gold and praise and thinking, why do I feel so hollow? That's when I realized success without purpose is failure in disguise. The world will tell you you're winning, but deep down, you know you're not. It's all temporary. You can't take it with you. You can't buy peace. You can't buy forgiveness. You can't buy eternity. The illusion of success is powerful because it makes you believe you're in control. It tells you you're your own God, that you can make your own destiny. But when storms come, and they always come, all those trophies, all those titles, they mean nothing. They can't comfort you at night. They can't save your soul. I learned that the hard way. I had to lose what I thought was everything to see what really matters. And when I looked past the flashing lights and the fake smiles, I saw truth. Truth that was waiting for me all along. Truth that was stronger than the world's applause. Truth that doesn't change when people walk away. That's when I began to see how empty worldly success really is. How fragile it becomes when compared to the eternal. There comes a moment in every life when you look in the mirror and realize that the image staring back isn't the person you were meant to be. You've got everything people dream of, yet something inside whispers, this isn't it. That moment hit me like a wave. I had been chasing the dream, the image, the applause, but not the truth. And one night, in that quiet space where no crowd can follow you, I felt it, a voice gentle but powerful saying, come follow me. It wasn't a voice of fame, not a voice promising riches, but one that offered peace, forgiveness, and purpose. And I'll tell you, that voice changed everything. I knew right then that no amount of worldly success could compare to the presence of something divine calling my name. At first, I tried to fight it. I told myself I could keep both. the world, and the Word. I thought I could balance the noise and the calling, but faith doesn't share space with ego. Light doesn't coexist with darkness. I realized it wasn't about adding Jesus to my life. It was about surrendering my life to Him, and that's the hardest thing for people who think they're already in control. To admit that you're not, to say, I need help, that's not weakness, it's the start of transformation. When I reached that point, I didn't care about reputation or headlines. I only cared about truth. I remember standing alone, looking at everything I had built, and knowing I had to walk away from it. Not because it was bad, but because it had become a barrier. I had made idols out of achievements, trophies out of approval, and that night I decided I was done being the master of my own life. I gave it all to the one who gave me breath. That decision didn't come with comfort. It came with tears, fear, and loss. But deep down, I knew it was the turning point. For the first time, I wasn't following a plan. I was following a person. I was following Jesus, and I knew that step would lead me somewhere greater than anything the world could ever offer. When you choose to follow Jesus, you quickly find out it's not all applause and blessings. It's not a red carpet path. The world doesn't celebrate you for walking away from its system. It attacks you. It mocks you. People who once cheered for you start whispering behind your back, calling you foolish, saying you've lost your mind. Friends distance themselves, the spotlight fades, the invitations stop coming. And that's when you realize the true cost of following the truth. It's everything the world promised you in exchange for your silence. I had to learn that the hard way. The moment I stood up for faith, the moment I said Jesus mattered more than fame or fortune, everything started to shift. The very people who once praised me began to question me. The ones who smiled suddenly turned cold. But that's the price. Truth separates. Light exposes. And when you carry light into dark places not everyone wants to see, it's one thing to talk about faith when it's convenient, but it's another thing entirely to live it when it costs you comfort, status, and reputation. I lost deals. I lost relationships. I lost people I thought were loyal. But every loss showed me what was never real in the first place. You find out who truly stands with you when you stand for something greater than yourself. I learned that following Jesus doesn't make life easier. It makes it meaningful. And even in the loneliness, there's strength. Even in the rejection, there's peace, because you're no longer chasing approval from people who don't even understand the purpose you're walking in. There were moments I wanted to quit, moments I wondered if I had made the right choice. But every time the world tried to pull me back, there was a still, steady voice reminding me that this path was worth it. You can't follow the crowd and Christ at the same time. One will lead you to popularity, the other will lead you to purpose. I chose purpose, and though the price was high, losing comfort, losing control, losing the applause, I found something stronger than fear. I found the courage to stand alone, knowing I was never really alone at all. Something happens when you truly surrender your life to Jesus. It's not just about praying more or attending church. It's like the air around you changes. The things that once mattered start to lose their shine. The opinions, the trophies, the race for validation, they all fade in the light of something real. I started to feel peace where I once felt pressure. I started to feel strength where I once felt stress. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but when it begins, you can feel it deep inside your soul. Suddenly, the same things that used to drain you no longer control you. You don't chase people's approval because you already have divine acceptance. You don't fear losing what you can't keep because you finally understand what you can never lose. I noticed that my priorities changed completely. I woke up with purpose instead of panic. I started seeing people differently, not as competition, but as souls that mattered. I began to forgive faster, speak kinder, love deeper. When Jesus transforms you, He doesn't just clean your past, He rewrites your future. And it's not about perfection, it's about direction. Every day you're walking closer to the truth, every step breaking chains that once held you captive. That's real freedom, the kind the world can't package or sell. The same peace that once felt unreachable becomes your new reality. And I'll tell you something powerful. Strength doesn't come from control anymore. It comes from surrender. You don't need to prove yourself because grace already proved you're worth it. The more I leaned into faith, the more fearless I became. I stopped worrying about the next move because I knew who was guiding my steps. That kind of confidence doesn't come from ego. It comes from knowing the one who holds your future. Transformation through Jesus isn't about losing your identity. It's about discovering who you were always meant to be. It's about walking through storms and realizing you're no longer afraid of the waves because the one who calms them is walking beside you. The peace, the power, the clarity, it's all real and it's stronger than anything the world could ever offer. When you give up everything for Jesus, the world thinks you've lost. They think you've thrown away your chance at greatness, that you've walked away from success, that you've given up power. But what they don't understand is that surrender isn't defeat. It's victory. The moment you stop fighting to control everything and start trusting the one who controls it all, that's when life truly begins. I thought I was losing everything when I walked away from the world's version of success. But I was gaining something far greater: peace, freedom, purpose, eternal security, the kind of victory that doesn't fade when the spotlight goes out. You realize that when you give Jesus your all, He gives you back what truly matters. The victories aren't counted in numbers or fame. They're measured in lives changed, hearts healed, and hope restored. There's a power in letting go that the world can't explain. It feels like losing, but it's really winning. Every time I released control, every time I said, "Your will, not mine," something inside me grew stronger. The fear that once ruled me disappeared. The anxiety that once drained me lifted. I learned that victory isn't about standing on top of the world. It's about standing firm in faith when the world stands against you. There's a strength that comes only through surrender, a peace that comes only when you stop striving and start trusting. I began to see everything differently. Every trial became a testimony. Every loss became a lesson. Every sacrifice turned into something sacred. I realized that following Jesus doesn't take away your power. It reveals your true power. The kind that doesn't depend on money, applause, or control. It's the power to love when others hate, to forgive when others attack, to keep going when others quit. That's the kind of victory the world can't steal. When I gave up everything, I didn't step into emptiness. I stepped into fullness. The fullness of grace, the fullness of joy, the fullness of knowing that I no longer needed to chase success because I had already found significance. And that, my friends, is the greatest win anyone could ever experience.